I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night. I'm David Green. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am having a wonderful time. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. It's a great pleasure to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in San Francisco, where it is currently late afternoon.
Okay, all right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
Well, I suspect that you're in touch with me because of my work on Hack the Process, a podcast that I run.
HTP. Yeah, amazing stuff going on there. Got to listen to the conversation. Pretty amazing stuff, David.
Thank you. I really enjoy doing it. It's been something that had been itching at me for years, and when I finally started, it was so satisfying.
Well, tell our amazing audience what you do there and the conversations you share.
Absolutely. So Hack the Process is a show about helping people move mindfully from having an idea in their head into actually putting it into action. And I started the show so that I would have an excuse to go out and talk to some people whom I admire, who've gone out and created something real in the world out of ideas that they had in their heads, to talk to them about how they got over that hump that stops you from moving forward sometimes, and figure out exactly what they're doing to keep themselves going.
So who did you learn that from? Because I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, that is an experience you've had.
Well, that was why I wanted to do the show. It's a constant in my life. There are always ideas that I'm thinking about trying, and I haven't figured out how to get myself to present them to the world. And I've seen so many people out there who have just taken their ideas and comfortably created something real, something tangible, something practical, something impractical, something fun. And I wanted to be inspired by that, and along the way, I wanted to help inspire other people.
Oh, that's great. Has the inspiration worked?
It has. And the show itself was the first step, just being willing to accept that each episode is going to be what it's going to be. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to go out there, and I'm going to get feedback, and we'll keep on improving.
Yeah, I think, So I'm guessing your personality type is one of perfectionist, right? Where you create something and it has to be great before you release it. I'm saying that based on that's the way I am a bit. Is that accurate?
I resonate with that. Absolutely. It's difficult to put yourself out there if you don't know that you've polished it when you could have polished it a little bit more.
Yeah. I've definitely had that experience, and the podcast world has given me, even now, right now, because I do not edit the podcast, and I'm still like, that could be polished some more, but definitely getting it out is definitely of more value, I believe. Because
that is one of the things actually that I find so cool about your show, because you're creating these things, and you have to create so many of them and so quickly that it forces you to just constantly put things out there. And I take a great deal of inspiration from that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, truly the focus is on the individual and the conversation, and not so much the editing, because it's just raw, right? So it is a bit challenging, but yeah, I fully resonate with the feeling you feel as well. Given that, and given the fact that there is the discomfort, why will you continue?
I just find that it's important to continue putting things out there. It creates that dialogue between yourself and the rest of the universe, and ultimately there is no distinction between yourself and the rest of the universe. So improving that dialogue can only improve the resonance.
Love it. Ooh. Well, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, David.
So over the last 3 years, I have a mindfulness practice, which I had in my early 20s, and it got me through a lot, and I left it for a while. And in the past several years, I've gotten back to it, and it's wonderful to just have 20 minutes a day when you know that you're going to be sitting and focusing on your breath and concentrating on what is happening right here, right now, in the moment, to remind you that you always can get back to that place. And that's something that nobody can take away from you.
How does that make you feel deep down inside, knowing that you've done this consistently over the years?
Well, if it tells you something about my personality, what it makes me feel like is I want to teach other people how to do this too, to share that.
Yeah, your voice, your tone went into a really amazing intonation right there. I think we heard your heart right there.
Well, it's right here. I try to keep it on the surface.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. So you've been doing this. You expressed how it makes you feel, and you express why you will continue. Suggest to someone out there who's listening, who may have the same challenges in terms of it necessarily being polished, right? Even more. Express to them why you think they should even consider doing what you're doing by getting it out there.
It's such an important thing to get feedback on what you're doing. You're going to have things bouncing around inside your head all the time and never really get perspective on whether what you're doing is adding any value to the world or even adding any value to yourself. And as soon as you put something out there, there's the opportunity for people to criticize, to praise, to respond, just to see how bouncing that ball against the wall of the universe makes it bounce around and creates those patterns. It's so valuable, but it's a difficult thing to get over in the first place, realizing that you're not being judged. The thing that you're creating is not being judged. It's just a dialogue.
Just a conversation. Love it. All right. Well, again, amazing audience. We are live with M. David Green. You could definitely check him out. He has the podcast. HTP stands for Hack the Process. Amazing stuff going on there. I got to listen to that. And he does have that mindfulness mode model of tone when you're listening. You're wondering, okay, I can meditate to this. Well, David, let's switch gears for a moment and let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. David, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory would be when I was 3 years old. And I remember that I was 3 years old because I was talking with a friend about how old we were, and my friend was 3.5. And at the time I was thinking, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I'm only 3 years old when he's 3.5. And then I started thinking about our next door neighbor who had a baby who was less than a year old. And I was trying to remember what it was like in my head to be that young and comparing that in my mind to being 3 and then being 3.5. And that's the reason that moment sticks in my mind.
Wow. So have you connected the dots on that memory?
It's something that keeps coming back to me. I realize that there are stages in life that you go through. And one of the things that it has inspired me to do later in life, I started doing this every year on my birthday. I have conversations with myself in the previous years on my birthday to check in with who I was before.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Please, you're welcome.
I just love the idea of the polishing. And, sometimes in life, the thing that can seem as a weakness, definitely in the right, should I say right? In the way that is most beneficial, can be a strength. So even with the polishing, it could keep us from doing what we need to do with releasing as much as we can, right? In certain situations. But it's just intriguing to see the way that you're polishing your thoughts to ensure that you're mindful, right? All the way where you're comparing is pretty fascinating. Comparing ages. And now to understand that you do it on your birthday, where you're using that model of just checking in with you at different ages previously. It's just fascinating.
It's one of the cycles of life. And, as long as we're here on this planet and we have the opportunity to express them and experience them, we may as well take advantage of them.
Yeah, the food guy, I've done that, my friend. And I've spoken to a few people.
Well, let's hope it catches on.
Yeah, I love it. Well, my friend, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
So when I was 12 years old, I was studying French, and my French teacher had given me a song to translate. And it was a song she was supposedly not supposed to have given me because the topic matter was a little bit racy. It was a song by Joe Dassin called Champs-Élysées. It was about people dating and walking around the Champs-Élysées. And I spent a lot of time when I was 12 listening to it and translating it, and I got very into it.
Intriguing. Yeah. Polishing.
You got my number, man.
Oh, That's amazing. Well, my friend, we have arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, David?
I believe so.
David, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
One of the reasons I'm doing this show is so people can find me.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
I believe anything's possible.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Absolutely.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
When I can.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Typically more than 8.
After 1,001 conversations, David, in 3 months in 2016, I came up with this workbook. I'm very proud of this, as you can imagine, right? Yeah, the name of it being called Yours. It stands for your own unique real self. And the idea is you answer questions similar to these, do the self-reflection that's necessarily, and hopefully connect to your own unique real statement, your mission, if you would, your mission statement. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents M. David Green, what would you say that is?
Be here right now.
Love it. David, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Angel, I'm just glad to have the opportunity to chat with you. I've been looking forward to talking with you for a while. And I hope the folks who are listening enjoy this. And I'm looking forward to feedback on it because that's why you put things out there.
Love it. HTP, Hack the Process. M. David Green, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.